if we recorded this immediately, like after, the following day, as we supposed to. But Dave was at a concert looking at one of his favorite bands, so Dave gets a pass. But it's actually good, brother. It's actually good because who knows the things I would have said in this opening. Because the Knicks did drop game 2, y'all, as we all know, 107 to 106. Tough one. This game was not only a loss, but it was a collapse in typical Knicks fashion. The Knicks choke. The Knicks go into the fourth quarter, a 12-point lead at one point, going up to as most as 15. And before we even get to game 2, right, brother? I could have swore I said on this show when we reacted to game 1 is I didn't like the way the Knicks closed out that game in game 1. I can recall saying that. Like, we were up, whatever, it was 18-19, and I was like, I'm getting a little PTSD from the Pacers because Atlanta had 1 point, brought it to 8. The Knicks were able to, weather that little storm from Atlanta, but then it happened, and it happened worse now in game 2. But just before we go and break down the numbers and who's to blame and everything that just compiled into this Nick choke job, what was your initial thoughts, brother, on the Knicks loss to Atlanta?
You know those feelings when you're like, you hate to be right? This was one of those situations where I hate to be right. Because when we went into the series, I had Knicks in 5, and the second game was the game that I had us losing. It was the Knicks letting their foot off the gas and just the stupidest of things happening, like lineups that we've never seen during the season being played. The Knicks only scoring a certain amount of points in the fourth when they've been killing all game, and I just don't understand the effort going from there. It's one of those things that is just like, really, like why is it that we just can't like go for the kill shot and that's it? That's don't give them a chance. And what you gave Atlanta at this very point is hope. You gave them
100%.
the idea that they can win this series, and it's not to say that us as Knicks fans at this very moment feel like we're going to lose this series. It's the fact that the Atlanta Hawks, as the team, believe they can win the series, and that's the problem. Because if you think you have a chance, you got nothing else left to lose.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny because Harold, our boy Harold from the Nick for Life TikTok and YouTube page, when he predicted, he said Knicks in 6. Because he predicted that they was gonna have one game where they were gonna blow it. Hey, we texting each other, and shout out to Harold for Nick for Life. He's gonna be with us on Friday as we react to game 3. He texts me, he's like, yo, bro, I can't. He's like, damn, I'm so mad that I was right about the Knicks L. And it's like, yo, it's true because we all know it. Like the Knicks, for some reason, I don't know, man, they just can't sum up a game 2 victory. And I don't know what it is about this team that, as you touched on, brother, they gave Atlanta confidence because in that game, very similar to game 1, the Knicks percentage time of the lead was 91%. Like the largest lead was 14. They had the lead 91% of the time at this game. And it's just like in game 1. And they dominated. You know what I mean? Like, obviously they didn't play the greatest of basketball. They were missing free throws. I think that's one big key right there. You know what I mean? And I knew it from the jump when they started when they started splitting the free throws in the first half. I'm like, this is not good. I don't like this. I don't like that they're missing free throws. And let's get into the numbers, brother, because Atlanta, they shot 49% from the field to the Knicks 45%. Atlanta didn't shoot that well from the 3. They shot 9 of 30%. The Knicks shot 11 of 34. The free throws, and this is where this was the difference maker. The free throws, 18 for 23 for Atlanta at 78%. The Knicks 17 for 27. The Knicks were 11 of 34. I mean, free throws was 17 for 27. They missed 10 free throws, 63%. If you miss half of those, the Knicks win the game. You know what I'm saying? And then obviously rebounds, the Knicks are going to have that advantage, 47 to 36. The assist was even at 22. The steals was big. Atlanta's 9 steals because why? The Knicks had 14 turnovers. The Knicks had 14 turnovers, 20 fast break points. Atlanta, remember, the Knicks actually outscored them in fast break points in game 1. And then you look at the points in the paint, and it's very interesting because Atlanta outscored them 58 to 54 in points in the paint. And I was looking at the halftime stats, brother. Atlanta got mostly those points in the paint in the fourth quarter. And that's something, like I just don't understand with the Knicks is that you are a team that can't shoot. You are giving them lanes to the basket. You know what I mean? And the Knicks did it. I wouldn't say they did a great job, but they did a decent job in 3 quarters. And like the game wasn't out. They didn't have like this dominant lead, but it just always felt like the Knicks were still under control. Obviously, Jalen Johnson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I didn't think they had such big games. They did a really good job. Josh Hart continues to play Jalen Johnson well. Jalen Johnson, although his overall numbers, 17 points, 6 for 12 from the field, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, looks kind of decent, but Josh Hart made it very tough for him. Nickeil Alexander-Walker only had 9 points, shot 3 of 12. Now, obviously, he made 2 big threes in the fourth quarter, but like we shut him down, man. But the thing is, you let CJ McCollum cook. That's the thing. You let CJ McCollum cook. And I want to dub this right now from the jump. This whole thing of, Jonathan Kuminga went in his press conference and said, oh, the Knicks crowd, obviously the Knicks crowd started the FCJ chants or whatever, and that got him riled up. Oh, Jose Alvarado got in his face, that got him riled up with him. Bro, CJ McCollum, if you watch basketball, CJ McCollum drops buckets. He's a bucket getter. CJ McCollum, I think he's the only all-star, the only player to have, I believe, is like 10 consecutive seasons averaging 20 points a game that hasn't been voted an all-star. So he doesn't have the accolade, the title as a former all-star, whatever, but CJ McCollum can drop buckets. Now, I'm not saying he can take over, he can have Atlanta, he's the player that can take this team over to consecutive rounds or whatever, but to blame the crowd or to say the crowd was a motivating factor for CJ McCollum busting our ass, that's not true, bro. That's what he does. He drops buckets.
Brother, it's one of those things that, like, I get it. Like, players got to find something. They got to find some motivation, some scapegoat, something to make it, so you perform better. The MJs do it, the Tom Brady's, the Jeters. They always had somebody in their ear saying something, that motivated them to play even harder. And that's cool if it works. But don't make stuff up. Like, at the end of the day, we understand what CJ McCollum can bring. CJ McCollum brought his A game to this game as well. And there's a part of that as well, besides Kuminga and trying to stretch it because he wants to make a name for himself, because this is a guy who forced his way out of Golden State. And he believes he's the A guy, but coming off the bench, but that's another story. It's the fact that the media wants to make CJ McCollum a villain, and the second that they gave him the mic to say, hey, you get to be the villain, he said, no, I'm just here to win the game.
He dubbed all that. He dubbed it. Yeah, he dubbed all that.
But and look,
shout out to Jonathan.
He's a baller.
Yeah. Shout out to Jonathan Kuminga. He did have a good game, and it's funny because that day at work, I was crapping on him. I was like, "Yo, he's one of the most overrated players." And it's not that I said it in the way that he can't ball. I just meant the way he was always covered in Golden State. When Golden State was linked to any trade rumor, they're like, oh man, they can center a package around Jonathan Kuminga. They made it seem like Jonathan Kuminga was this enticing piece, this piece this young piece that a franchise can acquire and build around him. They've always made it so it's like, bro, like clearly the guy isn't that good, but he can be good in these roles. Do I expect Kuminga to have these kind of performances the rest of the series? I don't know. I'm gonna say no because I think the Knicks will buckle down. But brother, let's get into the biggest question about this game. And obviously it's around the Medi Twitter circles, obviously the media. Who's to blame for this loss? There's a lot of candidates. It's a lot of candidates and guys that are watching us right now. We're live. Right in the chat. Have any questions? You got any takes? Write in the chat, y'all. Let's tap in. This is a full circle.
We'll pin
This
it
is a
right
conversation
now.
amongst all of us. This is not just super producer Dave and I. Brother, who do you think is to blame for this Knicks loss?
It's everybody wants to point to Mike Brown, and there's no shortage of blame to go to Mike Brown. But my problem is Mike Brown is not on the court. And at the end of the day, you can drop all the game plans you want, but when you decide to play the style of ball that you decided to play in that fourth quarter, you have to put the blame on the captain. And I'm sure the captain will take the blame himself as well. Jalen Brunson, he played too much hero ball. He took too much ball away from other opportunities. We went away from what was working all game, where you see Cat was killing this whole game and didn't even get a single point in the fourth quarter. As you and I went over in this show, thank you for bringing that up to me. He didn't have a single point in the fourth. A lot of the game plan was, understood, and Atlanta was able to see, okay, Jalen Brunson keeps going, he's doing this hero ball, we can lock in on him, and he just wasn't facilitating like he's supposed to as the point guard of the team. Yes, he's a bucket getter, but he's still also the point guard. He is the general on the floor for the coach.
Look, man, yeah, Jalen Brunson, we're gonna get to Jalen Brunson's hero ball.
Who's your guy? Who's your guy? Who you blaming?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong with Brunson. But I'll say this. You right that Mike Brown is not on the court. But Mike Brown is putting the players on the court. And I gotta put this on Mike Brown. One, his rotations are straight ass. You cannot have no team with two superstars in the playoffs, let alone in the season. Never have a point where both of those guys are on the bench at the same time. Even when guys are playing 2K, you're not having Cat and Brunson on the bench at the same time. They had a combined 8 minutes and 50 seconds in the first half. Throughout the game, 8 minutes and 50 seconds on the bench together. Mike Brown did it in the second quarter. And Atlanta immediately came back. So what do you learn from there? All right, let me do this shit again in the second half. What you did not learn in the first half, that it didn't work? He had a lineup of what? I believe it was Deuce. It was what? Deuce, Shamit, Clarkson, OG, and Mitch. He's got Shamit and Deuce trying to be the playmaker. What are you doing? Shamit's not a point guard. Deuce is point guard in size, pause. But everybody knows that Deuce is more of a shooting guard. He can't really play make. The only one who can really play make in that five that's on the court is Jordan Clarkson. And then you have Jordan Clarkson just hovering over the three-point line. Then you get desperate because you have no playmaking. You put in Alvarado, and Alvarado was okay. He brought a little bit of excitement. He did what he had to do, whatever the case may be. But where's Brunson? First of all, everybody that knows, I know, everybody that's watching here knows, the whole regular season, Brunson plays the first quarter. Cat normally sits out. Cat comes in. He plays with the second unit, and then like that. You stagnate their minutes with everyone. You got at least Cat or Brunson on the floor. And I don't get why Brown all of a sudden changed that rotation. Let's not even get to the fourth quarter where you're letting Atlanta get into this run. You're not calling a timeout, so you lose your 3 timeouts. You got 3 timeouts second half. He loses the third one because he didn't use it before the final 3 minutes. Then he calls a timeout in the middle of a damn fast break. You froze your own player. So that was it, guys. At the end of the day, I know it was a big conversation. NBC messed up. There was no timeout. But it was his rotation. And then I'm going to be honest, brother. You got to strategize. You got to find a way to Brunson's getting killed. They are pointing out Brunson on the defense. CJ McCollum did it. Nickeil Alexander did it. They were finding ways, and then you go and do nothing. You know what I mean? Like, there was just no adjustments within that game because Atlanta made adjustments. Atlanta made adjustments from game one. From the fact that they played Crispy 9 minutes. He didn't see the floor in game one. Why? Snyder noticed, hey, look, I need some sort of offense, because you touched on it, brother. They don't have much offense, Atlanta. Oh, we need some sort of offense. They added Crispin. Kuminga was rolling. What happened? Kuminga was like, yo, Dyson Daniels, you gotta go. You gotta sit. Kuminga played a lot more minutes. Bradley saw more minutes this game
Yes,
than
and
Gay.
that was big actually for Atlanta with Bradley on the court.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So Snyder made the adjustments in that game. But if I had to blame, and like you said, Brunson's a stronger candidate. Brunson's probably 1A. So it's not like I'm trying to say you're wrong, brother, because Brunson has everything to blame, or to blame as well, just like Mike Brown. I would just say I'm just gonna go with Mike Brown more because I just felt like his rotations was horrendous, and then his late game adjustments, his poorly use of his timeouts. He felt he was very afraid to challenge plays. There was a lot of plays that was like, bro, how are you not challenging that? And it's like, okay, you want to hold it, but you can't take him home with you, dog. So what are you doing? So it was just a lot
It's
of that,
rollover.
and this is why I
You
think it
didn't
was
know
the total.
we still got singular rollover minutes.
Yeah, right. Like it's the totality of that. That's why I think Mike Brown is the one to blame for this situation. And as I touched on, Brunson and Cat not seeing the minute, like that can't happen, brother. That can't happen.
It can't. And then we already called it. Also, Quinn Snyder's a good coach. He made those adjustments. If Mike Brown, this looked like a regular season game for him. This is exactly what a regular season game looked like with Mike Brown, and that's not what we want to see. The last 2 weeks of the Knicks going into the playoffs was the rotations that we wanted to see, the ball movement we wanted to see with Cat. This is exactly the game plan we thought we were gonna. Exactly what we saw in Game One. Unfortunately, Mike Brown decided he ran out of plays in Game One. He ran out of decisions and rotations, and he just threw it to the wind. It's like when you're losing, brother. You brought up an analogy, 2K. It's like when you're losing in 2K and you're like, "F it, something's got to work," and you decide to put a rotation that never would
Right,
work. And the
right.
fact that you gassed out your guys, right? I'm using the 2K analogy. Your guys are on
Mm-hmm. They got the
Gatorade.
Gatorade bottles. They
They
got
got the
Gatorade
Gatorade
bottles.
symbol. They're both on the bench, and then you're hurting now, and that's how Atlanta ended up getting the win. It's really poor strategy, and kudos to the Hawks and Snyder for making the adjustments to get them in that position to score and win that game. But man, Mike Brown, oh man, you're yes, I blame Brunson as like you said the 1A, but you're not off the chopping block. You're not.
Look, man, Mike Brown, I think is very important. We all know it's very important what he does in Game 3, and we're gonna get to that. But I want to talk about. I want to go more in depth, brother, with the whole Brunson hero ball situation. Because you mentioned it, Brunson is the reason why he's the biggest reason why they lost. And like I said, me picking Mike Brown doesn't get Brunson off the hook. I think Brunson, unlike Game 1, where Brunson had 19 points in the first quarter, shot the ball well, got guys involved. I believe he finished with 7 assists. This game, I felt Brunson in the first half, I thought played relatively well. Okay, didn't shoot the ball well, but I felt like he still moved the ball. Um, and it's funny because he still finished with 7 assists today, but he also had 3 turnovers and 4 personal fouls. Um, the hero ball in the fourth quarter, especially when Karl Anthony Towns had a monster third quarter, 14 points. He is just a man amongst boys against these Atlanta players. Centers, guards don't matter. And you go into the fourth quarter with a 12-point lead. And I don't know, and I don't want to take credit. A lot of people were talking about this. And many, these Nick content pages and everything is about. I don't know, with Brunson, you can tell when Brunson is taking a matchup personal. And it seemed that way. because it seemed like obviously he's going battle. McCollum is attacking him. He's attacking McCollum. But the difference is Nickeil Alexander-Walker guarding you, bro. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker were a few strips on Brunson, made it very tough. He's forcing shots. And then the thing is, there was too many possessions where Brunson's dribbling the ball too much. And as I said, many shows are going on. I'm not expecting him to be Jason Kidd, but at the same time, come on, JB, you gotta read the game, flow with the game. He is to me, I think Brunson's one of the smartest basketball players in the league, and that's why it's more upsetting. We have a different bar for JB than we have most players, especially in our team. So it's like, bro, you have to process, bro. Cat is cooking. They got away from the 2-man game. And he's just dribbling. He's dribbling into traps. They're trapping him. They're forcing it out his hand late. Then, and then there was at one point he gave it to Mikal, and Mikal gave it right back to him. That's another conversation right there, Mikal. But it's just like guys are just hovering around the 3-point line watching Brunson. And it's like they don't know what to do.
Well, Atlanta does. Atlanta knows exactly what to do.
Yeah, and then you make it very easy for Atlanta defensively. Because then they can just hedge, which what they were doing, hedging on Brunson, because it's so much, it's so little time left on the clock because the man don't dribble to air out the ball, and now we stuck with a highly contested shot, and it just broke the momentum. You know what I mean? While Atlanta, and then it sucked because on the other side of the floor, Brunson's hurting us offensively. He's killing us. He's killing us defensively because CJ McCollum just kept attacking him. And before I kick it off to you, brother, it's like, and then CP the franchise made a valid point. At that point in the game, Karl Anthony Towns is not being utilized, right? So put in Mitchell Robinson then. Put in Mitchell Robinson so at least you can have the best defensive center guarding the rim as guys are penetrating balls to the basket.
You bring up a good point because you mentioned it before. Tony Bradley was killing when he got onto the court. You saw the difference at Atlanta. It was just their biggest guy on the court, and he just made a difference when he was out there. And I just don't understand the strategy to get away from Cat not being the scorer in this game towards the end of the game, and then not doing the defensive adjustments that we needed to. All right, cool. McCollum's killing. Can we please get JB off him? Remove that assignment from him.
Right.
Can we I'm more comfortable with Mikal dropping whatever assignment he has, and you guard CJ McCollum.
Yeah, and that's what we talk about the adjustment, bro. Like, right, I would have put Brunson on Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and I know people are gonna say, "Oh, Nickeil made that jumper over Brunson." Yeah, but that's one jumper. He wasn't doing much. I would have put Mikal on McCollum. Because of that, like, and they tried to. I'm trying to think if they tried to or not, and then they just set the screen and then you switch it on. You got to fight over that, man.
Yeah,
you got to fight
on your assignment. Continue your assignment and don't let up.
They were literally picking on Brunson, and it sucks because it's like that's always been the knock on Brunson, and rightfully so. Is that he's not a good defender. He's not. You know what I mean? And there were some plays where. There was one drive where McCollum gets by him and he just tries to sideswipe him. And it's like, man, you got to put a little bit more effort in that, JB. Like, you got to start moving your feet. We know he can do it because he takes charges. He knows when to get right in the path of offensive play right before him. And that's how he draws them charges. So it's like, you got to slide as they would say, you got to slide them puppies, man. And, they killed him, bro. They killed JB. It was hard to watch. It was painful to watch, man. And as you touched on, brother, Atlanta got a lot of confidence now heading home. And that was something that the Knicks gave them. This was a Knicks loss as opposed to an Atlanta win. And there's no shade on Atlanta, but that's what it was. Because if you really think about it, bro, Atlanta won 107, 106.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So it's like, bro, like, you play a bad fourth quarter, you probably win. It's just the Knicks played a shitty fourth quarter. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it was. And although even if the Knicks would have went up 2-0, you already know Atlanta would have been a frenzy. Game 3. They're pumped. It's the first home game. So now, what do you think is going to be 1-1? You know what I'm saying? And I have no worries. I have no worries, but it is very frustrating to watch the Knicks do this again and again and again. It's too many times. This core itself, I'm not even talking the teams with Julius and Dante. I'm talking this core. It's
Two
too
years
many
now.
playoff games where this happened. Detroit game 2, Indy game 1 and 2. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you really think about it, the 2 games in Boston, yeah, they persevered and came back and won, but it's too many of those games. Too many of them where it's like, get your shit together. We're in the playoffs. I
And
wish I
brother,
could have saved the tweet, but hold on, bro. I'm sorry. One more. They had a tweet, brother, of Jalen Brunson's press conference after game 2 against Detroit. And it's damn near what he said about, oh, I gotta do better. I play with good guys. I gotta get guys more involved was identical to what he said after game 2 today. After game 2 this year.
brother, and the excuse last year was it was Thibodeau, right?
With
That's
Sips.
what that was the blame. And now this year it's the same players. You ran it back, yeah, some adjustments on the bench, but it's the same players, and we're having the same meltdown. So it's not a coaching thing at this point. It can't be a coaching thing at this point, brother. 15 points in the fourth quarter. So you're telling me they won by 1 point. All you needed to do is have a 20-point game in the fourth, and you could have won this one.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta had a heroic effort at 28 points. And honestly, that's not even heroic. That is the standard. That is the league average of what they're probably scoring in a quarter. The fact that they scored that and you only scored 15 and you look that horrible, that's not coaching anymore, brother. That's players.
Yeah, look, guys didn't shoot well. Bridges 3 of 10. Ananobi didn't take that many shots. Ananobi shot 4 of 9 shots.
And I thought he was going to do better because Sunny Lee was on the, she was
there, right. He normally balls out when she's there. But look,
he was man, Brunson of the week, and then
look, Brunson took 26 shots. Brunson took three fewer shots than Bridges, Hart, and Ananobi combined.
And brother, remember your X factor. Remember what you said. If he scores 25,
if Town scores 25, they're winning the game. I'm telling you. And he had 18. He had 18 going into the fourth quarter. You're gonna sit there and tell me Cat couldn't get 7 to 9 points in the fourth if you got him involved.
Exactly what you needed.
And look, I know there are some, and I can get on Cat a little bit. I know there were some possessions, and this is what we talked about. And I've always said this, and I've said this even off camera to people. There are certain teams that get. This is why, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself. This is why I'm not afraid of Boston as I was last year, because I've always said this, and I'll continue to say this. We struggle with Boston a lot because of a player named Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday, if you guys watch the Portland San Antonio game, there was a lot of possessions where he's guarding Wemby. He's a big enough guard to get physical. Kind of like guys how we do with OG and with Embiid in certain situations where, okay, OG doesn't have the size advantage, but the strength is a little closer than what people think. That's why OKC is necessarily not a great matchup for us. Because they put Caruso, they put Jalen Williams, they don't put their bigs on Cat. What did Atlanta do in that fourth quarter? They had Jonathan Kuminga on Karl Anthony Towns. So, yes, was it a combination of Brunson, Brown, and everybody not finding schemes to get Cat involved? But there were some stuff where, Kuminga was getting dirty with him, pause. And just Cat is just like,
well, you got it this game, bro.
Huh?
Like, you got it this game, bro. Like,
you got it. I'm not even gonna try. So I think it's but I also think it was a combination of Brunson dribbling a lot. So it's like, all right, whatever. I'm not gonna struggle because I ain't gonna ball. But at the same time, it still falls on you though too. You still got to, be engaging. And
get involved because if that rebound comes in, you were killing it on the offensive rebounds. We killed on the rebounds again this game.
Yeah, and brother, we're gonna have that advantage every game. We're literally going to have that advantage every game. It's the damn turnovers. It's the turnovers. I continue to say this. It's the turnovers. I believe we had 11 turnovers in game 1. We had 14 turnovers in game 2. You know what I mean? 12 points. Atlanta had 12 turnover points. 12 points off those 14 turnovers. Deuce McBride. Deuce. I know you coming back from the injury, but he had a strong game in Charlotte. He looked as he was getting back in the rhythm. Deuce has played horrible this series. Horrible these first 2 games. Landry Shamet, another one. I know there are some people that's like, hey, maybe throw in Mo Diawara, see what he can do. I'll be honest, at this point, who knows? I may not be against that. Maybe Mo Diawara could be an option for maybe 5 to 6 minutes. Maybe hit down the 3. Maybe make it defensively challenging for Atlanta. Because right now, Shamet is not cutting the mustard. Deuce is not cutting the mustard right now. 0 points, 13 minutes, 1 rebound, 2 turnovers. Landry Shamet, 10 minutes. He shot one attempt from the field. It was a 3 he missed. 2 turnovers. Like, we need to get more help from the bench. Clarkson, I felt, had a solid game. 11 minutes, 7 points, 3 or 6. He had 5 rebounds. He actually had a decent game. And then Mitch probably had the best game. 18 minutes, 13.7 rebounds. We got to get more help from the bench. We praise this bench, brother. We praise it going into this postseason. Like, hey, the Knicks got a better bench than last. The Knicks bench got to start showing it. Now, it's not that out in the front because you know why? Atlanta's bench is just as garbage. Obviously, their bench points was obviously much higher because Jonathan Kuminga had 19. Kispert had 4. Gay had 0. Tony Bradley had 2. Gabe Vincent had 3. But you got to do better. You have to perform better. And that makes it all the reason why I don't understand why Mike Brown, for 8+ minutes in total, had Brunson and Cat on the bench at the same time.
And brother, I think this matchup, right? Like this matchup is really tailored to stopping Jalen Johnson. We've seen that Jalen Johnson isn't as effective as we thought he would be. But that's just to say, what happens when this team does get him on board? When they do get him more involved?
If he cooks, right?
That's my concern. The player was 17, 36 minutes, 17 points, 6 for 12. He hit none of his threes. But what happens when he starts cooking?
Yeah. And not to say he's a role player, but other guys role players tend to play better at home. So now, who knows if game 3, Kispert is in, my man hits the first 2 threes, he comes into the game.
Yep. Guys
just start knocking down 3 balls because, they're home. They're excited. They're in front of their fans. They got Ludacris playing loud. They got everybody. Jeezy. They rocking everybody out in the A. Is Jeezy? Yeah, Jeezy from Atlanta, right?
I believe
T.I. They got everybody.
And they got the fresh lemon pepper, too.
They got lemon pepper. They got Gucci Mane. Who's the other one that he be saying some wild stuff? Oh man, he old too. He old. Damn, he kind of look like AJ Brown a little bit. Oh, damn, God. Boozy. They got Boozy out there. They're gonna be hot. They're gonna be like, welcome to Atlanta where the players play. It's like, but this Knicks team, they done it in Detroit. They're road warriors. They won 2 in Boston. Although that Indiana series was very ugly, remember, Karl-Anthony Towns and them, they were able to win the game 3 in Indy. This Knicks team is more than capable of winning both games in Atlanta. But they made it a little bit more difficult for themselves.
Yep.
Because you win game 2, brother. Now what you doing? Really, let's be honest. Now you just worry about, hell with it. Let's split Atlanta. Let's split it. Now, I'm not going to go with the Nick crowd that's like, yo, you got to win 2. Technically, you don't got to win 2. You just got to get home court back, and that's winning 1. You know what I'm saying? But now it's a shortened series. Now it's a 5-game series where Atlanta has home court. And in typical fashion of this Knicks, they always make it slightly more difficult for themselves than it needs to be.
And they could be resting up because yes, the Celtics lost that last game, but we know that they're going to finish out that series. We know that 76ers are not advancing. So the fact is that you don't want to make them rest more than you are going into the next
Right.
series.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So what adjustments, brother? What adjustments are you do you want to see, expect to see from the Knicks heading into game 3 tomorrow night?
There's two things. Number
Okay?
one, let's not get away from Cat being the center of your offense outside of Brunson. Now, and number two, that goes with the second guy I just mentioned. Brunson recognizing, hey, I don't need to do everything. I just need to do it when I can, but I'm not going to force it. Because the fact is that if we keep getting more hero ball, we can just start packing up and have the guys go to Cancun right away. Because that is not the style of gameplay that's going to get us far into this playoffs run. We need
Right.
to get Cat involved, like you said, and I'm going to keep harping to it because you proved us right in game one. You get 25 from Cat. There's no way you can.
25.
Yeah,
That's it.
you're not
25.
going to lose
Cat
this
gets
series.
25. I will be. We're not losing the game if Cat
But
has
the fact
25
is
points in
that
the game.
that is my game plan. Get Cat involved, and Brunson recognizing you don't need to do everything.
Right. Yeah. I think the adjustments I want to see, one is defensively. I don't want to see where Brunson is starting the game off CJ. Uh, I want to see maybe him on. I know they're probably gonna still put maybe Cat on Dyson Daniels, because that was it. Josh Hart is on Jalen Johnson, and then they have Mikel on the keel, and then while OG is guarding a Kung. I'm willing to put JB on the kill. And because Nikhil Alexander, yes, he's had an improved season this year. However, he don't got a bag like CJ. I'm sorry. CJ, man, you know ball. CJ got a bag, bro. He's always had it. He's always had it.
He just played with
I'm
Lillard. That's the only
right.
reason why yeah.
Exactly, brother. I'm putting Mikel on CJ. You gotta stop the water. You gotta stop the water easily right there. Um, Not the way they finished. I would if anybody can go back, watch the way the Knicks played Detroit in game 3. A lot of people go, oh yeah, those games were tough. The Knicks made pretty much light. The Knicks had light work in game 3. They kind of let Detroit battle in there, obviously. But if they can start, get the crowd out of it in the beginning, get some baskets. That's one thing they cannot do. They cannot let Atlanta get on a 8, 10-2 start, 8-0 start to start the game. No, not at all. Not to say that the Knicks won't come back and win, but you cannot get that crowd riled up like that. So I want to see the defensive, and like you said, brother, it boils down to Cat. I need to see a lot more too, man. We were praising this team as the playoffs were starting. Wow, it seemed like Mike Brown was holding in his 2-man game all season because he was going to bring it on in the postseason. And we have not seen a lot of that in the postseason. But with the little we've seen from it, it's been success. So let's go to it more. Let's attack more. Attack the positions that attack the advantages. We have the advantages on the rebound. Josh Hart's been playing phenomenal defense on Jalen Johnson. And we have the advantage with Cat. There's no one on Atlanta that can guard Karl Anthony Towns. There is no one. Attack that matchup. And OG and Mikel, we didn't even talk about the final shot, brother. That's so much shit that took place in game 2. We didn't even talk about the final shot and how you said it. I believe it was in game 1 when you were pointing out X factors and all that with Mikel, and you like, bro, I can't stand this guy always settles for a fadeaway, a fadeaway mid jumper. And that's exactly what he did for the final shot. He hesitated at the 3-point line and then settles for a fadeaway jumper with 2 guys on him. Instead of driving to the basket, going in strong, and possibly maybe drawing a foul.
Force the foul. That's the best thing you could have done there. It looks cool when you hit the fadeaway. We get that. But the fact is that you missed an opportunity that you could have won the game literally with that one shot. Brother, quick thing. I just realized that for whatever reason, our comments are turned off right now. So there are people who are trying to like send us messages, but for
Oh
whatever
shoot.
reason, YouTube doesn't have our chat on at the moment. So guys, we do apologize. Thank you for obviously tuning in and staying with
Oh
us.
damn.
But we just
Damn.
noticed right now.
Well, so it's done. We
Yeah.
can do. This is the thing, guys. We're live. I apologize.
Yeah.
Damn.
Growing pains. We'll be better
Growing
for next
pains.
week.
God damn you, YouTube. It sucks. YouTube need to step it up too. That's YouTube. Y'all got to make adjustments because Friday night we're gonna be celebrating a win, and we need the comment section on fire. But brother, before we wrap up, I want to talk to you about the overall playoffs, right? Because 2 losses happened yesterday. And to some higher seeds, higher favorable championship finals making level teams lost. Boston Celtics lost to the Philadelphia 76ers. A phenomenal game from VJ Edgecombe. I believe he's the first rookie, I think they said, or the youngest rookie to score 30, to get 30 and 10 or 30 and 9 or something like that in the playoff game. Tyrese Maxey balled out. Then you got San Antonio that lost to Portland. Obviously, Wemby was taking out the game in the second quarter. Ugly four. I don't know if you saw it, brother. Ugly four. And he was out from concussion. I think a lot of people are talking like he's gonna miss game 3, which I think he probably is. But those 2 teams lost, brother. And let's just say the narrative of those 2 teams losing was not quite the same as the narrative when the Knicks lost on Monday. Knicks lost Monday. This is why the Knicks are on the championship team. They might have to blow up the team. Oh, wow, they are a threat to lose this series. I don't know what the Knicks have. The Knicks have no identity. These are all narratives that's putting out. Opens first take. It opens first take. Boston loses. Oh, that's all right. Boston's known to do that. They'll get back. They'll win this series. Blah, blah, blah. Yada, 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 yada. Same thing with Detroit. Detroit loses game 1. They're making excuses for Detroit. Oh, well, Orlando was just such a, this it's a physical team like them, but they can get it, they can win, blah blah blah. The Spurs, obviously, the Spurs situation is a little different, and I get it. Wemby didn't play, but they also blew a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. They also have other talented players. They also have a veteran in De'Aaron Fox who has some playoff experience. Although it's only 1 year playoff experience, he's had playoff experience. He's played in a 7-game series when they played Golden State. I know my mom is watching, and excuse my language. Where's the same fucking energy when the Knicks lose? Where's that? I don't understand why the Knicks are covered. I guess I know, but I don't know why we're covered so differently than all the other teams. I don't get it. And people could say, I know there might be some Laker fans who are like, oh, the Lakers get, but it's not like the Knicks. It's not like the Knicks. You can hear in people's commentary when they're breaking down the Lakers, pretty much outside of probably Charles Barkley, where they want the Lakers to succeed. Anyone on television, bro, anyone that I've ever seen on television, always seem like they want the Knicks to lose. Like their criticism comes from a place of wanting the Knicks to fail, as opposed to being a basketball expert with an unbiased, independent journalist opinion.
And that's the problem, brother. They've gotten away from the journalistic integrity, and that's why they have these personalities, these people who come straight out of the league and have nothing else to do. So they say, hey, let's put you in front of a TV and give your unbiased take, because we're not getting that fair criticism that we should be getting. And that's what generates the clicks, brother. If you and I decided to be like Stephen A. and Skip Bayless, you and I would shoot to the top and make millions right away. But the fact is that we're not
Right.
going to do that. When it comes to the Knicks clearly drive content. And if the Knicks are failing, well, guess what? You have millions of Knicks fans tuning in just to see their team trashed, and it makes other fan bases happy. It makes the Boston fans happy. It makes anyone who hates the Knicks happy. Nets fans, because you guys are in purgatory, they're happy whenever they see this stuff.
Right.
It's just par for the course at this point, and it's upsetting because we have to watch it. If you want to get some basketball coverage, you want to watch post game stuff, you want to see what's going up, what's the outlook coming around. You're a fan of the sport. You're also watching these other teams being covered, and you're just not being. They're not shown under the same light. The Celtics lost the game that they should not have lost. You have Tatum, you have Jaylen Brown. You guys, there's no excuses. But the fact is that I don't hear anyone talking about, well, you know what? The Celtics, they could really lose this one. No, no, no. The narrative is like, hey, they lost one. All right, they can get back and just come back and get the next one. The excuse for the Spurs, okay, Wemby got hurt and he's in concussion protocol. We get that as well, but you're not giving as much energy towards that as you would the Knicks. Brother, it's Knicks for clicks, and it's going to keep being that until we win a chip. Right? And even then, it's still going to be like, well, you need to need more. It's always going to be something.
Yeah. Shout out to those that shared our video about the whole side talk
Yeah.
fans. Um, it's funny because when we started talking about that, um, there were Nick fans that's like, hey, they're the younger Nick fans, give them a break, yada yada yada. Right. And then game two happens, Knicks lost, and you saw the side talk signs, and you saw like the same young fans doing the same thing. And then now those that kind of defended it now are saying, "Oh yeah, you see, those are not Nick fans. Like, why would you?" And it's like, bro, we told y'all this. Like, unfortunately, something that was funny and cool and organic, what 4 5 years ago? Yeah, because that the original video that really took off was opening night against the Celtics in what 22, right? Yeah, 22, the double overtime. Now it just seems forced, and I don't and it's a black eye on the fan base. That's all I'm gonna say. I'll be done with that.
Even as
We made
recent,
it.
brother, even as recent as last year. Last year it was fine. You get it. But at this point, it's just like, first of all, they were doing that all year.
Yeah,
It wasn't just the playoffs. They've been doing this all year because they know this is their content. This is where they get their stuff. But it's not. It's just forced at this point.
yeah, it really is. But guys, let us know. Sorry, we're so sorry about the chat. I'm not gonna front. We really look forward to engaging with y'all in the chat and answering questions. So, guys, if you guys all listen, man, tap in with us Friday, 8 p.m. We're gonna be breaking down and reacting to game three. Hopefully, it's a win. We're gonna have our boy Harold from the Nick for Life YouTube and TikTok page with us. He's gonna be joining us on Friday night to talk some Knicks hoops. Guys, we will have a regular episode coming up Wednesday as well. We got to cover the NFL draft. The Giants got 2 picks. The Jets have 2 picks. I'm pretty sure super producer Dave wants to know whether his Patriots might be getting AJ Brown in the trade during this draft. There's been a lot of rumblings of that. We have to talk about the Yankees, the Mets 12-game losing streak. Uh, the Yankees switch into alternative jerseys. So it's a lot to talk about. So we will have a brand new regular episode, but we're still going to continue with our live playoff reaction shows. So our next one is going to be Friday, 8 p.m. Um, as we're going to be recapping game three. So guys, let us know in the comments below if you had a tough time. I'm gonna be honest. If with it, would I be able to read what people wrote after this once the video's uploaded and stuff?
I think if they comment on the video after it's posted,
Yeah,
you'll be able to see that. But
yeah.
there's no live chat feature at all right now.
Yeah, so if you guys are able to just leave a comment below, and we'll get to it. We'll answer in the next show. Tap in with us Friday, y'all. as we're gonna react and break down game 3. Hopefully it's a Knicks win and we're having a good Friday. Dave might have the old fashions out. It might this might be a good one. It'd be a Friday and Saturday, Sunday. It's Friday. It's probably I might have the disco lights on. We're gonna be partying it up. We're gonna be partying up. So guys, you already know what to do. Tap in with us Friday, 8 p.m. as we break down and react to game 3. But in the meantime, in between time, check out the Knicks tomorrow, 7 p.m. on Amazon. Peace.